Unmute. Chamber view. All right, we're good to go.
All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I invite you to stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good to see you all. Happy looking bunch. That's good. I like that. All right, agenda. Any corrections or additions to the agenda tonight? Take a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion.
Thank you, Val. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Sharon. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Minutes from the April 21st meeting. Questions, comments, corrections?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Jessica, you're on a roll. Yeah. All right, in a second. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Discussion. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jessica, another fine job. Thank you.
I want to clarify one thing.
Yep.
Commissioner Christensen, did you aye or did you abstain from that one?
I'll abstain from
Okay.
that one. Thanks for asking.
Just for the record, so that I know how to present it. in the minutes.
Open forum. Everybody to speak at the open forum. Presentations. Diamond Lake Trail. Kelly, you're up.
Chair Anderson, fellow commissioners, it's always a pleasure to be in Corcoran. You are a fantastic community to work with, and I'm excited to be wrapping up the master plan for the Diamond Lake Regional Trail, because it means we are that much closer to land acquisition and that much closer to construction, which of course makes Three Rivers really excited. And your community is just right at this amazing sweet spot of development is coming, and you guys have been working through that the last several years, and we want to be part of that. We want to work with you to secure the land rights in order for the trail corridor to kind of all come together and really hopefully improve your community and help connect the different neighborhoods to your downtown area, your commercial areas, as well as from one neighborhood to the other neighborhood. So assuming that everything goes well today, you'll be seeing a lot of us over the next few years, working very collaboratively with your staff on every single development proposal that is along the trail corridor, as well as if anyone is interested in selling their land, that we would love the opportunity to work with them. But before that, we still have work to do, including approving the master plan. And I'm going to ask Jessica to be my slide switcher, if you wouldn't mind. So if you can recall, we probably were here 2 or 3 years ago, started this project. It is the Diamond Lake Regional Trail. It is a north-south corridor. It was proposed to be about 20 miles long, connecting the Mississippi River. And we've got a regional trail proposed along the river called the West Mississippi Regional Trail, all the way down to the Dakota Rail Regional Trail in Wayzata. And we have done quite a bit of planning, quite a bit of community engagement. We've looked at all different routes, and we are finally at a place that we had approval from Corcoran on a route late last year. We have then prepared the master plan, which I believe was in your packet, or you had access to it in your packet. That identifies the route through your community, as well as how we want to work collaboratively with you. So at the end of the day, the route went from about 20 miles to nearly 40 miles. And part of that is that we had a deviation through the city of Medina, that instead of being totally north-south, we're north-south, and then in Medina, we kind of head east and run through Baker Park, and then we head west to Baker Park, then south again, and then back east again, utilizing some existing trail infrastructure through the park and the existing regional trail system, as well as the Loose Line State Trail. So it all works out. We get all of our connections that we were trying to do, and we believe that Medina is now satisfied with the route, and we can kind of move forward with each and every one of the communities, assuming the master plan is complete in your eyes and that you approve it this evening and your council approves it next month. Slide, please. Thank you. So this is the preferred route for the entire corridor. We are not going to go in great detail. You have all seen this, I believe, in the past. I'll just hit on some highlights. I already talked about the planning work in Medina and Long Lake and how we had to shift and adapt our plans. Again, we have a route that works, and it still connects your residents to Baker Park Reserve and the greater regional trail system, which were prime goals of Three Rivers. It still is going to have some high quality destination attributes. We really want to help connect people to natural resources, and then also use the trail corridor to preserve some of those resources where it makes sense. Slide, please. So this is the route again through Corcoran. Again, I'm not going to walk through it with you. You've seen this before, but it does use the Dayton Parkway interchange to the north, kind of connects through Steve Woods and then down. Parallels the 169 corridor, but it starts on the east side and it flips to the west side. And we really strive to be off-road. There are going to be opportunities or situations where we'll have to be along a road. That's okay. When you've got 40 miles that you're trying to accomplish, you're going to have a variety of experiences and a variety of trail design. But again, that goal is to really connect people with nature. So wetlands can be just as much of a barrier as an opportunity, and we're going to look at them as an opportunity and try to get people close to them, but be very respectful of the ecological factors that they provide the community, as well as the greater habitat for all of the wildlife. And really, in order to get something this ambitious done, it really is about working in partnership with the community, in partnership with developers, and in partnership with willing sellers. And over time, all of those things align, and a little bit of work here and a little bit of work there and a little bit of work in the middle, they start to kind of come together as puzzle pieces. And the city's already done a fantastic job with some of the developments in your community, proactively securing trail land and outlots to do that, and actually asking developers to build portions of these trails that we hope to kind of use and piece together into one bigger corridor that really connects your community. Slide, please. This is the southern half through Corcoran again. There is a future, another regional trail search corridor in your community called the Weaver Lake Regional Trail Search Corridor, and it goes basically across the whole county from the west to the east. That'll be something that we probably kick off in about 5 years, but it was key that we wanted to connect to that. Again, it's one more asset that we'd like to work with Corcoran on a future day. We knew it was really important to connect to the kind of the downtown City Hall area. And we are not touching that directly with the regional trail, but we're very supportive of working with you on a local trail connection and a safe crossing of 116, as well as connecting some of your parks, the ones that are already planned, as well as the ones that are going to be planned as part of future development. Slide, please. So here's where we're at. We're kind of in the middle of a 30-day comment period. It's going to wrap up in early June. We're using this time to connect with park commissions and throughout the entire corridor, and then we'll be seeking support in the month of June from city councils. So far, in general, community support has been exceptionally high. We're not anticipating any huge hurdles at this time. You do have a copy of the master plan available at City Hall should any residents want to actually come and look at that hard copy. It's also available online at Three Rivers Let's Talk website. And if anyone wanted a hard copy, they could contact us and make sure that they could get their hands on that. And then after all of the cities approve it, we send it to the Met Council. We prepare a master plan, which is similar to your comprehensive plan, and that all goes to the Met Council for their review and approval. So that will be the next step. Then our board kind of puts the final rubber stamp in it. We're shooting for next fall. And then our typical next step is that we would enter into a cooperative agreement that really outlines the roles and responsibilities of the cities and Three Rivers. But there should be no surprises. We've been very upfront that this is a Three Rivers initiative, and the financial burden is certainly ours. We just need to work in partnership with you to kind of put all those pieces together. So with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions or comments.
It's a lovely trail. It looks like it's going to really support kind of recreational bicycling and walking. These are individuals and families out for an afternoon as opposed to folks training for some serious cycling event.
Yeah.
They get to bike too, but this is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. One question that does pop up for me is it seems every road in Corcoran is getting busier and busier, and we cross several roads which are, used to be country roads and now are suburban roads, and
Yep.
pretty soon there'll be much more than that. So any kind of hints as to how that will work?
Chair Anderson, there are a few different grade separated crossings already proposed in the master plan, and even the crossings right now that are proposed at grade, we fully know that your community is changing and that transportation network is changing quickly. So we kind of outline it based on the information we have today, that this is at grade or this is going to be grade separated, but when we actually construct the trail, that's when we bring our engineers in and we look at the existing like conditions of that day as well as the projections, and like knowing how long it's going to take to assemble all of the land throughout this whole corridor, I would fully expect that nearly all of your county road crossings would be grade separated at some point in the future.
Means either a tunnel or a bridge.
Yeah. Tunnel is, or underpass is typically preferred. It's just easier as a user. You're kind of got the decline, you get that velocity or carries you through, where the bridge is a lot more work to get up. And the bridge is typically more costly.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's always a question that pops up.
Yeah.
And the way that the trail meanders through Corcoran, is that just for wetlands mostly that you're going around?
Yeah, great question, Chair is it Meister.
Mhm.
Perfect, Chair Meister. Originally, we had multiple different routes through Corcoran. Some of them were straighter shots, like along County Road 116, and other ones meandered like you saw. And ultimately, this was the route that had the most support and we felt had the most like construction feasibility, and we could capitalize on a lot of the development that was already happening in Corcoran and start piecing that together where development was planned or we were feeling like in the next few years it was going to happen. So we mapped all the natural resources, kind of had a goal of trying to connect them so that your residents were connected to them and that we could help preserve them, and that would be a strong asset of Corcoran, which we felt was important to your community. Even though you are developing really quickly, that's still part of who you are. And we'd like to be part of preserving that and celebrating that. So that's why the route is not a straight shot and kind of
Right.
meanders, connects those neighborhoods that are planned and existing.
Excellent.
Other questions, comments, observations? So this will be ready a year from now. You'll have.
Would that be great? I will not make that promise.
What, as soon as the powers agreement is signed, then that's when you start buying some land.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Yeah,
securing
we
that.
actually met with Jessica as well as your city administrator this morning and said one of the things we'd like to do, which is kind of out of practice for Three Rivers, is we'd like to start that cooperative agreement right away, even though the master plan is still working through or would be working through the Met Council approval process and our own board approval process. Because the urgency in which your community is changing, and we do not want to lose any opportunity, and the way our process works is we do not reimburse communities for land that they've already secured. We want to be in a position that if you are acting as our land agents, that we can readily reimburse you for those efforts. And so expediting that agreement sooner than later so that when our board potentially adopts the master plan, either on that same meeting, we're also entering into the Corcoran agreement, or therefore like very shortly afterwards, we'd be doing the same thing. That way, the next time you have a development proposal and your staff has been working so hard to secure a trail outlot, we can reimburse you for however you've secured that land on our behalf.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No.
So until the agreement's in place, the risk would be on us as a city if we were going to acquire land that looked really good from the trail perspective. Is that
That's
kind of what
right.
you're
And
saying?
so right now, the city has been acquiring land as part of some of your recent development. And you've been acquiring it really for the local trail kind of piece, like for
Mhm.
your own community's interest. It's going to also work very well for Three Rivers and the regional trail corridor. So whether we were at the table or we had this vision at that time, I think that it's fair to say that Corcoran was going to be securing that trail land regardless of Three Rivers role or not. We just want to be a better partner in in doing our part.
Right,
moving
yeah.
forward.
If we acquire land because we think it fits, not because you have your agreement yet,
Yeah.
you could reimburse us in the future after the agreement is done for that land that was acquired before you had the agreement in place? Or no?
We would want an agreement before we committed to reimbursing. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So if we have the land, even though you don't have an agreement, and whether we decide to make our own park there or plan
Yeah.
it for the trail, if the agreement comes into place 6 months after we acquire that land, could you reimburse us for that?
We typically don't, only because it sets a very difficult precedent for us across the entire county. If you have that opportunity where you're ready to buy a land or something comes up, I think we could expedite that cooperative agreement quickly enough that we would
Okay.
be positioned to be a
Yeah.
partner on that. Or we could even just do an agreement just for a particular parcel and kind of kick the other stuff down the road a little bit.
Yeah, so when we're thinking about when some developer comes in and it may be near the trail, we need to consider that because if we say this is going to be great for the trail system, but they're still 8 months, 9 months, 12 months away from getting their agreement in place, we may never see any of that money. And so it might not fit with the trail system, if I'm understanding that right.
Which is why we
So-
would like to quote, get that.
Yeah, no, I
cooperative agreement.
agree. We should hurry as much as
Mhm.
prudently possible, but
You've connected all the dots. Rick.
yeah, I think we just need to keep that in mind. Thanks for the help on that.
Mr. Chair,
Sure,
can I ask a few questions?
absolutely.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you
Hello.
for your time.
Yeah, thanks for
Uh,
having me.
I really value these kinds of trails, and I'm excited to have one, possibly two, coming through Corcoran in the future. So to recap for anybody who might not be familiar, when you presented before, you mentioned that if we choose to take land for this trail, the park district would reimburse us. You were just mentioning that with the commission. Often we will, if we are doing a trail, we'll take a small fraction of the land that we would be eligible to under code. For example,
Like
say
your
on
park
Tavera,
dedication.
and for park dedication,
Yep.
we typically look for about 15%.
Mhm.
Often we might end up with like 2% that we actually build trails on. You mentioned that in some areas you might want wider sections for a more natural ecological corridor. So we should keep that in mind as we're doing our negotiation with developers and planning our trail system. Is there any guidance that you can give to our planning staff to know when and where we should look for those wider corridors?
We have in the master plan some details as to where those areas are. So we'll make sure that they have access or they know exactly where to find that. And the other tip that we have found works the best is just very frequent communication between staff.
Mhm.
And as soon as your staff get a phone call about a development that may be on the trail corridor, that we're at those very initial meetings. And then that allows us all to hear that same information together, and we can work separately with your staff to decide, is Three Rivers going to work directly with the developer and buy like an outlaw outright and kind of cut the city out of it, because we've done that? Or does the city want to act on our behalf and act as the land agent and secure the corridor on our behalf? And then we would reimburse the city for those efforts.
Very good.
Mhm.
So it's a really potent way to build a really nice trail system, and that you might want to only take 2% of the land because you want to get the cash to develop something else.
That's right.
But here you wouldn't need to make that trade-off. You could take 5% or 10% if it makes sense
Yep.
and end up with a much nicer corridor.
And then in that case, we would work with the city, decide, so you could have made X amount if you took the cash, right? But you're gonna act on our behalf to secure the land. Well, what is that city's loss in the cash? And that would be like a good negotiation starting point for what Three Rivers would reimburse the city.
Mhm.
And I can't say that it's always hard and fast, like this is what makes sense or this is what it does. We often will have an appraiser kind of guide that conversation to make sure that it's fair to both parties. And because we get a lot of our acquisition costs from the Met Council, they also require a certain amount of due diligence, including appraisal value, so that they know they're not, all the money that they're contributing is well-founded, essentially. So there's lots of checks and balances, but we try to be as cooperative and we know that if we rip a city off, they're not gonna come and work with us on any other thing. So it's not in our best interest to not pay that fair value. Excuse my bluntness.
We all want to keep it fair.
Right, we
absolutely.
like it.
I had another question. So I think the Park District was involved with the Tavera development and where that trail will go on that southern end of Corcoran. We heard a concept proposal as council maybe 2 or 3 months ago for an industrial site that's a few parcels north of that.
Correct.
Have you also been involved in that one? Do you
I
have
think,
visibility there?
So Stefan Scherson has done all the initial planning for this trail project, and I think he has been working with your staff on that. And we know that it's coming up. We talked about it again this morning, so I think are prepared to do that. I believe the city is also looking at a water tower in that same area. Is that?
That'll be considerably farther north.
Okay.
A different area, but we had touched on that as well during
Okay.
the same
Thank you.
conversation.
So that's exactly like those conversations and just getting the right people together. Stefan has all the intimate knowledge on every single one of your development. I just can't track every detail, but that is, I think, one that we would like to follow up with closely, knowing that it's still in the works where the rest of them are kind of well on their way at this point.
Last question. For the Weaver Lake Regional Corridor that you talked
Yeah.
about starting potentially in about 5 years.
Yeah.
Looking at our phasing plan, we will have development in that general area between now and 2025.
Okay.
I don't know if you can accelerate things just for us,
Yeah.
but it might be nice to get some more visibility as to what that corridor could look like so we can
Yep.
partner on.
Absolutely. You said the next 5 years you guys would be doing some.
I can show you the map after the meeting. So there's,
Okay.
depending on where it goes, portions of it are set to develop between 2030 and 2035. And others are 2020 to 2025 and 2025 to 2030. So just depending upon where you
Okay.
go, you might end up missing a good opportunity.
Yep, that's good to know. Thank you. We can definitely look at the timing of that. Any other questions for me?
It's like, what do you need from us tonight? Anything?
So we will be asking for a resolution of support to the city council. So I'm not sure what your standard process is for that recommendation, if you have a recommendation.
You guys could motion to recommend to council if you reviewed it. I sent out the link in an email. It wasn't technically in your packet, but I think I included it in the email about your packet. It was kind of a lengthy master plan document, so it wasn't going to be printed off. But if you guys have taken the time to review it, a motion could definitely be put out there and then
This is a motion in support of the plan. Okay,
recommending it to council.
recommending it to council.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sharon. Thank you. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Right, you got it. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. It was nice to see you. Thanks for coming by with good news.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, unfinished business. And new business. None. Quiet meeting. Active planning applications for information. Have you guys had a chance to look at that? Any questions on those? We all shakes our head no, so we'll move on. Then. Recreation supervisor update.
All right, give me 1 second to get the PowerPoint pulled up. Okay, so in the last month, I have assisted with the planning and implementation of cleanup day. It was very successful. I think it was approximately 130, 140 cars, which was, if I remember right, pretty on par with the previous year. A lot of people came through. They dropped off a lot of stuff. And I like to call it their treasures. We got to see a lot of items. Other items, planning night to unite. As you guys know, it's the first Tuesday in August, so it'll be August 2nd this year. You guys are certainly encouraged to attend, and we would love to see you there. I know that the Parks and Trails in the past has had a table, so that is definitely an option still. Working on the city park master plan, included in that is the open house that was had this evening. We got 2 submissions for 2 paper submissions. We've got, I believe, 25 electronic submissions, and that will stay open until the 16th of June, when we have the work session that's scheduled to talk about the responses that were submitted. And then you guys can have a work session to discuss what you want to do with that information, what you would like to send to Stan Tech for updates to the plan, and then we can go from there. In addition to that, working on the memorial bench program, looking at other cities' options. At this point, I'm leaning more towards a tribute program versus a memorial bench, just so that it's not limited to people who have passed on. And ultimately, you could include, maybe you want to donate a bench in honor of someone who's still alive. Just allows a little more opportunity. And then the final thing is park reservations. I actually looked at the budget, what I anticipated for 2022 versus what we've actually gotten thus far at the park. And we have gotten more than I anticipated, which is not shocking following COVID. I feel that that has increased our numbers a lot. People are more prone to being outside versus being cooped up in a house, especially after 2 years of being cooped up in a house. So those have been the things that have really taken over my time. In addition, you'll notice that there is a new face here tonight. This is Noah, for all of those who have not met him yet. Noah is the program coordinator for the city, so he has graciously and successfully taken over most of the youth athletics, which has been wonderful. So he will give an update after this, but training him in has been the other part of it, but he has taken on so much and done it gracefully. I am so impressed.
Yes, good. All right, thank you. Well, then we have the program coordinator introduction and update. Welcome, Noah.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Yeah, if I haven't met you, I'm Noah Torvik, new program coordinator for the city. A little bit about me. I graduated from the University of Minnesota Duluth last spring, 2021, with a degree in environmental and outdoor education. Since then, I've been working a couple different seasonal jobs. Last summer, I was a recreation guide in 2 harbors, taking people on sea kayak and paddleboarding tours on Lake Superior, as well as hiking tours on the Superior Hiking Trail. And then this past fall and winter, I was a naturalist at Baker Outdoor Learning Center, primarily teaching kids, and that was a lot of fun. And then that brings me here, obviously, and which I'm really excited about, getting to learn more about Parks and Rec department and all the interactions, as well as gaining that experience and getting to work outside as well, and working with the community and watching the kids play baseball and soccer, which is really exciting. Since I've been here, yeah, Jessica's done a really good job training me in on a very nice tour of the city. Become familiar with all the relevant software that I've been using, as well as becoming familiar with the baseball and soccer programs. And baseball, spring baseball is going on right now. So that started off kind of with putting together equipment, bags, and team uniforms for the various T-ball, coach pitch, and machine pitch teams. And then I've also been working on cleaning out and reorganizing some of the sheds. There's which needed a little bit of work. So that's been interesting, but rewarding as well, I think, for us, and as well as the coaches that use them, as well as starting a equipment inventory for all the baseball gear that we have as of now. Let's see. Oh, we also had picture day, which was a lot of fun. That went pretty smoothly. was working on and pretty much completed a handbook that's basically everything you need to know about Corcoran youth baseball, which was good, and hopefully we'll be able to use next year, hopefully. Couple other random highlights, I guess, was re-wrapping baseball bats, which I know Jess was super excited about.
I don't think I've ever been so excited about it.
Yeah. As well as ordering baseball medals for the kids and looking into ordering more equipment. So, and then soccer's right around the corner. So I've just been reviewing registrations, answering questions, working on a handbook, same layout as the baseball as well, and then putting together a new soccer field map layout. And yeah, that sums up most of it, I think. So thanks for having me here, and I'm excited to be working for the city of Corcoran.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Anybody have questions for them?
It's awesome.
Commissioner Nybo, do you have any questions about the registration numbers or if they're residents?
Well, it's up and running, so.
Well, no, I mean for
The
soccer.
percentages, oh, that's already?
Yeah, the registration's wrapping up in a couple of weeks. Noah ran the numbers. He has them for you.
Oh, and how many are from Corcoran?
You're looking for each division.
Yeah. No, we're not that complicated. Overall.
So a total right now is currently 26.4% residents.
Well, we're getting
It's
up there.
improving.
We're getting there.
How many kids registered altogether?
300, 340 something.
Okay,
Wow.
That's great.
Oh,
My math is
sort of scary, I have to say.
343 as of now.
and when does it close?
Memorial Day.
Memorial. Oh. When does it start then? Again, I don't have kids in it. I'm sorry.
July 7th, I want.
Oh,
to
that's
say.
soon. Okay, I guess that was a little late August.
It has to have time for uniform ordering, teams, getting coaches to get in their background checks, which is a hassle in itself. Begging people to be coaches,
Sure.
if any of you guys are so inclined.
So in the olden days, back when Corcoran softball, baseball was run by the Corcoran Athletic Association, Kevin Dale used to say that the rule was fun first, as opposed to other places where they do winning is first. I'm wondering, are the kids having a good time?
From the kids I've talked to, yes, definitely. And what I'm seeing for sure, especially since it's been a pretty decent start of the season, decent weather. So, and I've made sure to, as well as Jess, to highlight that to the coaches. That still seems to be the theme. So
That's good. Way it ought to be. It's marvelous.
Yeah, it's important.
Any other observations, questions? Anybody want to grill them about anything? Scholastic work or? Yeah. All right, Noah, thank you for coming in. It's nice to meet
Welcome.
you. City council report.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. I circled a few items that I thought you might be interested in hearing about. If I miss any that you'd like me to opine on, I'd be happy to do that for you. So at the April 28th meeting, we at long last approved the Right Hennepin request to approve their plan for their electric substation. We ended up approving a version of the plan where the barbed wire fence itself has to be screened by natural plantings, and there will be berming required on the west side in combination with other landscaping to try to conceal, I think we said 80% of the barbed wire fence from adjacent property. So that will impinge a bit onto that linear park. So we'll want to keep that in mind when it comes time to do that design work. But overall, I think it'll be the best effect, and we'll be happy that we made that choice in 5 years. We also chose to make that 80% opacity requirement achieved within 3 to 5 years. So you can't plant trees this big and wait 30 years and then say that you've achieved the target. So it'll be larger, more substantial plantings because we know the park is going to be developed before then. So we want to make sure that it'll be in line with our vision for that park corridor. We also approved the final plat for the St. Therese project, which will result in a significant influx of park dedication funding. I don't know if you noticed, the fund balance has kicked up a bit since Tavera's third edition process. There should be a few more like that, I think. I did ask Jessica to have Maggie write updates on when we expect other final plats to come through so that you can have confidence when it comes time to the main Central Park update, that we would have enough. It looks like we're very likely to be covered, but we'll want to know for sure, of course. And then at the May 12th meeting, we had a work session to discuss city code updates to try to preserve natural resources. No decisions were made, but we gave some guidance to staff for them to provide some insights and some proposals for us at a future work session. It would be, I think, interesting to get your take on it as a commission, given that a lot of it does focus on preserving open space. We did talk through the idea of in parcels where there is a significant natural resource area, in order to qualify for a PUD requiring a certain percentage of that high value natural resource area to be preserved. Currently, we could negotiate for that, but it's not written into the PUD portion of the ordinance. So the proposal here would be, let's make that a firm requirement so that we make it clear going forward, and that could provide some modicum of protection for those natural resource corridors, while still maintaining it as a carrot-based incentive rather than a penalty for removal.
These would be those areas which on our natural resource map are identified as high quality wetlands or woodlands or.
Correct. So it'll be interesting to see what planning staff comes back with in terms of specific code changes for that.
Absolutely.
We also talked about creating buffer zones between adjacent land use types. So if you have, for example, an industrial site that would abut a residential site, having an enhanced setback requirement, and then having that setback be landscaped. We didn't get into a lot of specific detail about what that would look like in terms of exact distances. It's going to get rather complex. So it's really going to be up to staff to figure out a way to take the general guidelines that we gave them and make it executable. But overall, it should help with the number of parcels that we have where we have significant transitions from a high density zone to a low density zone without a gradual step down in land use intensity.
So what's the incentive to preserve those areas? What are we trying to do?
I moved on to a different topic there. Sorry,
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't clear on that. So if we go back, and we're talking about, say you've got a parcel, 200 acres, and 30 of it is high quality wetland or high quality maple basswood forest. Currently, you're eligible for a PUD. If you ask for it, the city can negotiate with you for whatever the city values. And depending upon what the council at that time thinks is important, we might negotiate for higher quality siding or greater park dedication or something like that. We could create an incentive to preserve those natural environments by having that be a criteria for a PUD. So if there's 30 acres, and let's say we chose 50%, that's how much we want to see preserved. So if the plan that's submitted preserves 15 acres of that high quality area, then that parcel with that plan could be eligible for a PUD. If the plan requires you to remove more than that, you could still build, you could still do your project, but you would need to do it within strict zoning. You wouldn't be able to do it under the PUD flexibility. So that's the incentive.
Okay.
Any questions? Topics for further discussion?
I think that's a good thing. There aren't so very many areas in Corcoran that are that high quality.
It's true.
So it's a good thing. All right. May 12th doesn't get any play at all.
That was a pretty quick one. There wasn't a lot that I thought would impact parks. But if you see one, that you'd like to discuss, I am here for you.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Garden Club report. We usually cover the tree giveaway. Trees have been given away. It went, pretty smoothly. We're going to do a little more careful work, continue the quest to have exactly the right number of trees. We maybe, you end up with nobody was really mad. I mean, they're free trees, so if you latch short, we'll make up for it next year. It was really pretty close, yeah. And it took a little harassment to get people to come pick up their trees, but that's worked pretty well. So they're mostly gone. So, and I'm thinking about doing it in a different way, but I need to coordinate with Red County folks that we would not place an order until people have actually started to order. What we found is that we open the order was it a Friday?
I think we did it on a Friday.
On a Friday, and I don't know, a huge percentage of the trees are reserved that Friday. And so if you're not kind of right there, waiting for hitting the button so you can get your order, and they disappear. And we could give away a lot more trees. So I think we should find a way that doesn't require that you be home and available, sitting home on your computer to do that, whether we let people, or if we do a lottery, everybody that gets it in the first week, or something that just makes it a little less stressful for people who want those trees. And then also try and do a better job of getting the trees that people want. There's always a few, we had red pine this year and nobody wanted them. I have no idea why, but it's a fine tree. We couldn't give them away. So,
Literally.
we did, but all right, I'll take the red pine. And there's that usually is the way that it works for something that I've picked out. I wouldn't pick out trees that aren't good.
Is it the maples and stuff that they really want, or what?
Yeah,
what's the hot item?
It's a lot of the other, it's always been a lot of evergreens, a lot of softwoods. But they don't do Colorado spruce anymore because they don't survive here. And so once that came off the list, then people got a little more open to what they were getting. And shrubs, it's really hard to tell what's going to be the hot thing. If there's something that makes a berry that all of a sudden has been in the news as a superfood, then those things fly off. And I wouldn't necessarily be aware of that. So, like it's
We like things that do well in a wet environment.
wet environment. Yeah, that's right.
Dogwoods.
So, and I'm passing on a significant amount of the Corcoran Garden Club responsibility to the Yolanda Tillmans, who's a neighbor and is well organized and is really happy to kind of do that. So we're looking at kind of gearing that up a little bit. The garden is growing out here, but it needs some TLC for sure. And so and some work. So Sharon, do you have anything?
Well, we were talking about tapping into people that have moved into the 55+ neighborhoods and might be missing their gardens and really, really missing weeding. So many opportunities.
Do you actually miss that?
Yeah.
So,
We'll see what we can do.
yeah.
All right. Park dedication fund.
You may notice that it has been cut down to one page as
Mhm.
requested. On the back is still the breakdown by project for the donations that have been received thus far. The Northwest Area JC is for the splash pad, that $100,000, and then the Hanover Athletic Association, the $45,000 from last year as well. And as Councilmember Nichols pointed out, Tavera 3 times over.
Yeah.
Phil, you're usually the one with the question. Any questions?
Balance is going up.
It is going
so
up.
That's good.
Which
I
is good.
noticed that.
Yep. Yep.
Got to put some of that money to use in that park of ours.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. All right, other business. The liaison schedule for the next several weeks, several months. Questions, comments, anybody who It's been assigned a bad week, bad month.
I missed the last council meeting, so if I need to fill in for anybody, I can jump in and do that.
So the meeting on the 26th is going to be a monster. So I'll be in my jammies. At home, yeah.
Okay.
With the camera.
Thanks for clarifying.
What's going on?
It's just.
Oh, it's just a big,
Lots of
It's a
planning.
big
a big
Oh,
meeting,
that's
yeah.
exciting. 8 planning items, I think.
Oh, wow.
8.
Sounds like
Oh,
fun.
wow. All right, any other business that we need to attend to today?
Consent agenda items.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Wow.
Is there a second?
Second.
The second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.